Welcome back to Success Mashup Radio, and welcome to the Internet Marketing Boardroom Podcast number 6. What we are talking about today is, I'm pretty excited. What we're going to be talking about is how to get things done. You know, in the last segment, right now, you're either listening to this live on the radio or you're listening to my podcast at a later date. I'm basically recording my podcast for the Internet Marketing Boardroom live in studio during my live radio show up here in the Seattle, Washington area. And on this episode, what I'm going to talk about is how to get things done. Whether you are a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, whether you own your own business, whether you work a corporate job, whether you work a part-time job and you're trying to build something on the side, whether you have one kid, 2 kids, you're married with 4 or 5 kids and you're trying to build a business, or you're just trying to get things more done with your regular job. What this is basically for you, because there's a lot of different organizational courses out there, and I've taken everything under the sun. I mean, I have taken a lot of different courses from a lot of very good teachers. And what I want to try to do is I want to try to bring everything I've kind of learned and bring that to you. Because a lot of people teach stuff that really works out well for them. And a lot of these people, they're at that point in their career where they're really successful. They don't have as many personal, kind of issues nagging them and taking their time. And a lot of them have pretty consistent schedules. So it's a little bit kind of sometimes easier said than done. So what I want to talk about is I want to tell a couple stories of kind of how I've been able to grow my business, continue to grow my business during a major transition time in my life when I had everything falling down on me, businesses that I owned, running out of cash, filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, having a brand new baby boy, all this stuff happening while I was growing a business at the same time, then taking another full-time job while I was building a business, continuing to be able to do everything to get to the point now where I am really growing my business and now working with some of the biggest names in the world, really, in the industry that I work in. And I kind of want to, what I want to do is basically I'm going to go over the 5 core principles, okay? And then I want you to think about this and really listen to these 5 core principles and then tweak them to how they'll work with you, because that's the key. And the other key is to not try to do everything at once. Don't try to make all these changes. You hear all these things and you're all excited about it, because you'll just get frustrated, and you'll give up. So you want to, maybe focus on 1 to 2 things, or maybe even 3 to make those changes. And then you'll be able to, over time, tweak them and then, bring more changes into your daily routine. So, and why am I talking about this today? One of the reasons is because I battle with this myself massively. See, I'm a multitasker. I do a lot of different things. And like I was talking about on the last segment is the other day, my dad was asking me, how do you get all that done? How do you get everything done? How do you grow your business and deal with your clients and do all this stuff? And it's hard for him to understand, because he has a hard time understanding my business itself now, because it's mostly a digital. My products are digital. They're information products. And I have clients that also, pay me on a monthly basis to run their campaigns and consult with them and stuff. So that part's a little bit difficult, but the other end of it is how I actually get stuff done, because he knows me personally and he knows that I have a tendency to do too much, to do too many things at once. And now I've kind of, like I said, I battle with it every day, but I'm learning I understand that about myself. And I know if you're a person that wants to grow their own business, build their own business, maybe grow your existing business, maybe start a new business on the side while you're working your normal job, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom or something like that, then you might have that entrepreneur. A lot of people that have that entrepreneurial spirit, inside of them have a tendency to be multitaskers and have a tendency to do too many things at once, start a lot of projects, not finish any of them. If that's you, don't worry. That's me. And that's actually most of the most successful people in the world. That's how they are. So a lot of them, teach us how to get through that. And so I've learned a lot. And what I want to do is kind of take some of the stuff I've learned from people like David Allen from Getting Things Done. Eben Pagan teaches an unbelievable course. Michael Hyatt, Dan Kennedy, Pat Flynn, James Schramko, tons of different people that have really helped me along the way. And so what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to go over the 5 things. Okay. And the 5 main things are, number 1, finding your magic time and scheduling out your day effectively. Okay, I'll go over what that is in a second here. Why you need a morning ritual and how to design one. how to handle your email and your phone, the power of a nap and how to utilize a power nap. And this is unbelievable, really, in this whole scheme of things. And then also being creative with your learning times, how to continue to improve your skills on all the way around in your personal growth, but also being able to get things done instead of, being, you want to be that person that's doing, not always learning, but you also want to be continuing to learn. So how do you find that fine line? I'm going to help you with that because I've really been able to do it. And, it helps. It helps figuring out ways to do that. So, like I said, I continue to battle with this every day. That's why I'm teaching it. But I'm in a situation now where I get over 100 emails a day. I have multiple clients that I personally deal with on a weekly basis and some once in a while on a daily basis. I'm managing campaigns for some of the biggest names in the, the marketing, the internet, online marketing space in the world, and some, big marketing gurus that a lot of people know. I manage a team of ninjas or superheroes, like I like to call them, that help that really help with my business, growing my business with content marketing and stuff like that, design. And I'm trying to grow a bigger team, which is tough. It's tough trying to find people. I'm trying to grow a bigger team right now and interviewing. And then I have a 4.5-year-old boy who I spend, like I said, a whole heck of a lot of time with. Just the other day on Friday, I went to the dentist half the day with him because he had to get put under to do some cavities on baby teeth, and he had to do like 4 at once. So I took him in and hung out there all day, and I didn't have any stress because I kind of had this stuff all planned out ahead of time. So it makes a big difference if you can really put some systems into place on how to do this stuff. So, but before I get into the details, let me tell you a little story about me and why, if you're listening to this, why I know you can do it. Because if I can do it, you can do it. And I don't really want to hear any excuses, because if you had to go through what I had to go through, then and if then you should be able to handle this. So basically, 4 or 5 years ago, after I was a pilot for about 6 years, I moved into owning my own businesses. My entrepreneurial spirit took over. I'll try to make a long story short. But basically, I ended up over, a few year period, owning some real estate and about 2 different businesses for 2 different franchises. So 2 locations for 2 different franchises. So I had 4 locations total at the time. And 2 of them, the one franchise was very, very successful, very profitable. The one location was making $150,000 to $200,000 a year net income. The other franchise was basically a loser. It wasn't making money, was losing money. Not more than I was making with the other businesses, but it was brutal and it was a time suck and everything. And basically, a long story short, back in 2007, 2008, as the same time as the economy was taking a big hit, I got into a cash flow crisis. Some real estate things kind of started it, but mostly just kind of a combination of bad luck, actually. Some bad decisions, running out of cash, and then the economy tanking and nobody having any money. The banks drying up, couldn't, get any money, and everybody was afraid out there. Nobody wanted to buy a business, even if it was a really profitable business, which I had. So, long story short, basically, I ran out of cash, and I had one business where it was really seasonal. So in slow season, we'd be losing money, and you need to have some cash stashed away, and I didn't. And then our business literally changed their business model from an upfront cash basis to a membership model, and instead of easing it in, it was an overnight switch, and that really just it killed me. We went from basically doing 100 to 220,000 in a month in sales to 35 to 40, with expenses of about 60, and we were having the same amount of customers, but because of the cash coming in was lower, it was tough. So basically, throughout this whole process, I was actually just starting to get into the internet marketing space and starting to just be, I loved it. I just loved the fact that you could reach anybody in the world, that you could actually get paid to help people, to teach people and get paid for it, that you could have something that you wanted to get out to people, and you could use things like Google and Facebook and reach people anywhere in the world really, really quickly for, not very much money. So I was really starting to get into this at the same time as all this stuff was happening. And then basically, it all kind of came to crashing down when I really ran out of cash. About the same time when I actually had to file Chapter 11, which is a reorganization bankruptcy for one of my businesses, the most profitable one, because we were out of cash. And this was about 4 months after I had a new baby. So I had a 4-month-old baby. I had all this stuff going on. I had employees that needed to get paid every 2 weeks, right? I had to pay rent for the business. I had all this stuff happening at the same time. Yet I was still learning and still taking coaching courses because I saw the long-term potential of this, what I'm doing now. And so basically, let's fast forward now. That was like 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. And now we're at a position where I've got this business with clients, all over the country and literally customers all over the world, and got a lot of pretty cool things happening now, working with some big names, big gurus. And throughout this process, basically when I basically closed down one of the business, the other business, a big corporate kind of vulture came in and took over the real profitable salon. And then, I moved into this business that I'm doing now. And then I got to the point where I got offered a job. I ended up taking a job as an e-commerce account manager for a big company, a fairly big company locally, and for about 6 months. And I was trying to build this business, but all of a sudden I was working 8 to 5. So now I'm working 8 to 5, but I've got these long-term goals. And the reason I'm telling you this story is there's kind of a method to the madness. You have to kind of hear this to understand that no matter what position you're in, you can do this if you set these systems in place and if you have these long-term goals. So my goal was to continue to build my business. I knew a lot of people that were successful at it. I was learning from them, but I had to take this job. I couldn't really turn it down, and I ended up taking this 8 to 5 job. But what I ended up doing, and I'll talk about it here, so when I get into these details a little bit more, was, I found my magic time, and it was early in the morning before I went to that job, and I'd work for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then I'd do some other stuff at night, and then I would literally, take naps at lunch. And I figured out a way to do it because I had these goals in place, and I knew some ways to be able to, where I was a lot more effective during certain parts of the day, and I was able to use that time. 6 months later, I told that boss that I couldn't afford to work there anymore, literally, because of my other business. And guess what? They ended up basically not hiring me, but they ended up sort of hiring me. Now they're a client of mine. So actually I hired them. So they're actually a client of mine now, and they're one of my biggest clients to this day. So pretty cool stuff there. But it was tough once I had to do that, and I had to leave at 7. It wasn't an 8 to 5 job. It was more like a 7:15 to almost 6 at night job. And when you got a 3-year-old, 2-year-old at the time, it was, for me, it was brutal because I was used to seeing him so much, and I couldn't see him hardly as much anymore. And I had to figure out, a way to see him more. And so that's what I want to talk about now. So, and I'll get into the reason I talked about that story is because I know a lot of people have full-time jobs. And so a lot of people don't, but a lot of people do. And a lot of people that teach these, organizational courses and stuff like that, they don't have full-time jobs. They don't understand. They don't have to deal with kids. They don't have to go to work. So they can put these systems in place, and it's a lot easier to do when you don't have all those things tugging at you. So let's go ahead and we're going to go into this process. And first of all, before I get into number one, is you need to have your kind of short-term and long-term goals written down and really figured out. Because if I didn't have that, then I wouldn't have been able to get up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning to work before I went to my other job with them, and then work at night again on certain nights when I, didn't have to worry about Kyler and stuff like that, which is my son. And because I had that goal. So if I wouldn't have had that in place, then there would have been no really motivation. So you've got to have your 6-month goals. You got to have your 3-year goals. You got to have your immediate goals in place, because then it opens up your mind and you're going to have a lot more motivation. So make sure you have that in place first. Number 2, when you're doing this stuff, you have to create a new habit. And so any habit, typically, depending on where you read this stuff, this is all scientific. It takes 21 days to 6 weeks to develop a new habit. Okay, so a new habit, once you get to that point, once you start doing something every day, then once you get to about 3 to 4 weeks, it's your body and your mind start to become normal. Okay, you have to get to that point. You'll hear anything when it comes to quitting smoking or anything like that. It typically takes that long. It's kind of like a shuttle, the space shuttle, when they go into orbit. This whole process, the most difficult part is the first 7 days, right? And then it gets a little bit easier. Then you got that, second week and third week where it gets easier and easier. And then, of course, 4th week, 5th week, it's a habit now. But kind of like a space shuttle, when a space shuttle gets ready to go, they've got these huge rocket blasters. I don't even know what they're called, but they take off. and they use like 90% of their fuel just getting into orbit, just getting to that point. Once they get to that point, the rockets, they drop off, and they literally only use like 5 or 10% of the fuel the rest of the entire trip. And so that's really, when it comes to forming a habit, you really want to think about that. You got to really be really disciplined for the first at least 2 to 3 weeks. Then after that, it gets easy. So first of all, let's talk about the 5 most important core principles in getting more stuff done and being less stressed out and having more time doing the things you like to do, whether it's go hang out, go out with your friends, hang out with your kids, hang out with your wife, hang out with your husband, go on a vacation. Maybe it's work on your, future projects, whatever it is. The first most important thing is you need to find your magic time and schedule your day out every single day. Okay. I got the magic time from a guy named Craig Ballantyne, and it's basically what he calls it. He calls it that little block during the day when you are the most focused, you get the most done. Basically, it's kind of like in 1 hour, you can get done the same amount as you would do in 3 hours at a different part of the day. Okay. So for me, I'm a morning person. So my magic time is about 6 in the morning, it's about 5:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the morning. Okay. So really, 6 to 9 is my magic time, but by most, like the absolute best magic time for me is 6 to 8. So 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. But, of course it goes around there a little bit. So the majority of people I know, I would say a lot of the most successful people are morning people, and they have their magic time is the morning time. However, I do know, quite a few people that they're night owls. So you have to figure out what you are and really try to figure out where that time is. But one thing, if you think you're a night owl, I do encourage you to try to, maybe test out a little bit, see if you may be a morning person. There's a lot of psychological things that go into why a lot of people are more effective, psychologically, physiologically, physically, everything. Why people are more effective in the morning before all the other distractions start coming out, like the phone and the email and stuff like that. But you need to really figure out when that time is. And this is huge. I mean, for me, it's the morning time. And literally, if I'm, trying to do something like write an article or something like that, and I try to do something at 8 o'clock at night, it doesn't work. It's crazy. I could sit there for 2.5 hours and work on it. And then I could just shut my computer, watch TV or something even for a half an hour, and go to bed. And I'd be more effective by just going to bed and getting up earlier. And then literally the next day in 20 minutes, I can do what I was trying to do that night and couldn't even get it done. It's weird. I think the older you get, the more this is true too. But this is super, super important. And then when it comes to your magic time, what you need to do is you need to figure out, we'll get into this a little bit, but you basically need to figure out what your most critical thing that you need to get done is, and that's what you need to do during that time. Okay, so what I do is you can either use a piece of paper, or you can use like a real notepad, or use the notepad on your computer, like your notepad on your Mac or text editor on a PC. And literally take a piece of paper and draw a line right down the middle of it. And on the left side, do a brain dump and write every single thing down that you can think of that's on your head that you have to do. Whether it's business, personal, whatever, it doesn't matter. Write everything down. So spend about 5 minutes and do that. And then once you do that, take the line and then go to the other side. And what you're going to do is you're going to take everything on that line and put it in order of importance. Okay. Everything that's the very, very most important that you need to do, put that at the very top. Okay. And then all the way down to the bottom. And then when it comes to some things, start thinking about a little bit what you might be able to defer to somebody else, or maybe stash away where you can kind of batch out for a later date. Just think about that a little bit. Okay. If you're listening right now, you can go ahead and actually do that, because we're going to go ahead and take a break right now and come back in about 2 or 3 minutes. And then we'll kind of get through the rest of this scheduling out your day, and what to do once you get that list. Okay, so we'll be back in about 2 minutes with Success Mashup Radio.
The East Side hasn't always been known for having fun, upbeat, and fashionable restaurants, but it is now that there's Lucia. Lucia takes the comfort of a neighborhood restaurant and couples it with excellent Italian food and a downtown feel with its urban bar, dining area, and private loft. If you're in Kirkland and are looking for first-rate Italian food and a restaurant that's in a class of its own, then make your next dining experience Lucia. Lucia, located in Kirkland Park Place, in a class of its own.
Why should you use Property Inspector LLC to inspect your new home? Because our home inspectors are so thorough in their evaluation of the property you're considering purchasing. We mean it when we say we won't let you get stuck buying a money pit. Property Inspector LLC has protected more than 3,500 home buyers in the Northwest because they're one of the best in the business. Don't get stuck with a bunch of unexpected post-closing expenses. Dial 425-985-3289 now. That's 425-985-3289 to schedule your home inspection today. Property Inspector LLC, located in the greater Seattle area and East Side.
If you are interested in getting advice on your investments and financial plans, then you need to contact Sweetwater. Sweetwater makes a commitment to remain constantly mindful of what is important to its clients. Contact Sweetwater at 425-861-0112 or via their website, sweetwaterinv.com.
When's the last time you cuddled up by a warm fire and sipped tea while reading your car insurance policy? You have better things to do than worry about insurance, and no one knows that more than Paul Pukis at Mosaic Insurance Alliance, your local independent insurance agent. We'll take the time to get to know you, and by offering personal guidance on coverage for your car, home, life, and business from a range of companies, we help you choose insurance that's just right for you. Contact Paul at 866-552-0777 or Super Agent at MosaicIA.com.
Have you ever wondered how healthy your home really is? Every aspect of how your home is built contributes to an interior ecosystem, which may positively or negatively affect your health and well-being. BioHealthy Homes specializes in the art and science of creating natural, healthy indoor environments, offering construction consultation and individual healthy home assessments. The team at BioHealthy Homes will be able to determine the presence of or how to avoid electromagnetic radiation, air quality testing, hidden moisture and mold, lead, and a host of other testing and consultative services to ensure your home is a healthy place to inhabit. For more information, visit biohealthyhomes.com.
You don't think about it much, your furnace, until it's not performing when you need it and your house is cold. Well, stop freaking and call Beacon. Beacon Plumbing specializes in residential and commercial furnace repair and installation. But they'll also help you take regular care of your furnace by offering you a $59 furnace tune-up, making sure your furnace is energy efficient and you're warm all winter long. Stop freaking, call Beacon for your $59 furnace tune-up. 1-800-FREAKIN, 1-800-FREAKIN.
1150kknw.com. It's why they invented the internet. We think Alternative Talk 1150 AM.
All right, welcome back to Success Mashup Radio and the Internet Marketing Boardroom, podcast number 6. Now, what I was talking about was putting everything in your mind onto a list. Okay, this is the start. This is the crazy thing for me is this. What this does is it does a lot of stuff psychologically for you. The next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about scheduling out your day every single day, just basically very simply without just using a piece of paper or using a notepad on your computer. But what happens when if you've ever read Getting Things Done by David Allen or a lot of stuff, it's a great, worldwide bestseller now. He's got an audio book. Go to Amazon and get it if you haven't yet. It talks a lot about what happens when you have something on your brain, but it's not, put somewhere. So basically, when you have a bunch of stuff on your brain, like when you're walking in through the garage and it's all dirty and you know you have to actually get it done, you have to clean it, you have to empty the dishwasher, whatever it is. When you know you have to do it, but you haven't done it yet, or you don't have you haven't scheduled to do it yet, it creates the stress in the back of your brain, in your subconscious mind. And when you have a lot of stress, what happens is it lowers a lot of the other performance of your brain and your body, physically and mentally. So this is really, really critical stuff. And when you do this and you just start to do it and you start to practice it and try it, you'll know what I mean. You won't really understand it until you do it. It's really weird, because when I actually schedule out my day each day and then all of a sudden it's done, all of a sudden I have this relief that's just like this huge weight that's been just taken off my shoulders. It's crazy. And it's pretty cool. So this process, what you do, and you'll get each day you'll do this and you'll get better at it and faster at it, and your list will get shorter and shorter because you're more organized, right? So, but now what you're going to do is, and even if you don't decide to write 2 columns, one thing you can do is you can actually just write everything down in one list and then go to schedule out your day. Okay, so now what you do, this is what I do, is you can do this either the night before or you can do it right first thing in the morning, okay? Right after your morning ritual, which we're going to talk about in a second here, okay? But then what you'll do is you'll basically, this is simple, but this is what I do, and you can do it any way you want it, but I literally just take what I think, and I take little blocks of time of my work times throughout the day, and then I schedule myself out, because another psychologically powerful learning, or I guess it's not really a learning thing, but when it comes to your brain and your body and performance, is you need to work in 45 to 50 minute blocks if possible. That's the optimal time. There's tons of studies about this, and you'll notice it. And that's why school classes are 50 minutes, usually around there. But you need to work in 50-minute blocks, 50, and then take about a 10-minute break. Okay, do that maybe 2 times in a row, and then maybe have a meal break. Okay. That's the important building block of all this. You need to work in these short periods of time, and then you're going to be more effective. If you work for like 3 hours at a time, you're not going to be as effective, and it's just not worth doing it. So the key is to getting all this stuff out on paper. And then what I do is I schedule out my day. So basically, let's say I'm going to go from 6 to 7. My most important thing that I need to get done is, for me, I really want to work on my most important project, but also the project where I need the most creativity. Okay, because you're going to be your most creative during that magic time. So for me, my magic time is the first couple hours of the day, right? Now for you, if your magic time is maybe 9, 10, 11 at night, after the kids are in bed or something like that, then what you need to do is you need to schedule your most important critical items at that time, okay? Or maybe it's your items that you need to be most creative for. So in my business, in a lot of cases, creating content is really the most high value thing that we can do. So you need to figure out what is the highest value thing that you need to get done, and then that's what you need to do during your time that you're most effective. Okay, this is going to take some time to figure out. Maybe you think it's at night, but maybe over time you figure out you actually get more done in a less amount of time in the morning. So just start tweaking, start figuring this out after a while, and then you'll start to gauge where where your times lie for you. But most importantly, you want to schedule out your day effectively. So what I do, like I said, is I schedule out my important items, my things where I need to be creative, article writing. Like Dan Kennedy writes an article, he writes an hour every single day, no matter what, the first hour of the day. It doesn't matter whether it's for him or for a client. That's what he does, because that's the time he can write the best. Okay, so let's say for me, there's things that I don't necessarily need to be as sharp for. Maybe it's working on a design on something, or maybe it's just literally going out finding some articles to share with my audience or something like that. Then that's the stuff I'll do later on at night, or maybe later on in the afternoon. Okay, maybe when it comes to answering emails. What about answering emails and maybe calling people back? Definitely the afternoon time, when you're not as focused and you're just it won't throw off your whole day, because when you start getting into that kind of stuff, which we're going to get here in a second, you have to wait and do that until a little bit later on in the day. Otherwise, you're just going to be spinning your wheels. I promise you that. So we'll get to that here in a second. But basically, try to think about your day in blocks of effectiveness, and then think about what tasks would be best well suited for each thing. Okay? So at night, maybe sometimes you work at night after the kids are in bed or something like that. and you have a project that you just sometimes you don't really know how long it's going to take. That's something that might be great to do at night. Maybe you're not actually finishing it. Maybe it's working on a design or something. But okay, now the next thing is let's talk about your morning ritual. You need to have a morning ritual. This is huge. This is another thing that it's going to take some time to tweak. The most important things about a morning ritual are you need to build into a habit throughout this. But what I like to do is I like to start the day healthy. So a lot of people like to actually work out during their morning ritual. I used to work out during my morning ritual. Lately, I have not been. So don't feel like you have to. A lot of people that teach this stuff, they do a 20-minute workout, a half-hour workout during their morning ritual. But, I don't like to do that because I like to get right into my, writing or my work, whatever it is. And then I like to work out a little later, like around 11 or 12 usually for me, right before lunch. But basically what I do is every morning I get up, I wake up, and then I go downstairs and I drink 16 ounces of water. So water is key. I don't have time to go into why, but basically you need to drink at least 16 ounces of glasses of water throughout the entire day. Okay, your body, think about oil not going into a car. That's what happens when you don't drink enough water. You have to drink tons of water. It's really, really good actually to drink water, a full 16 ounces about 30 minutes before each meal. So think about that. Okay, if you have smaller meals throughout the day, you're gonna have more energy. You're gonna be healthier. All that stuff. If you've been into any type of health or weight loss, you probably already know that. But basically, I go down and I have a 16 ounces of glass of water. I like to have coffee, so I have a cup of coffee right after that. And then what I do is kind of while my coffee's being made, I usually steam water, and then I put I do a couple drops of I forget what it's called right off the handle. It'll be in the show notes, dominatewebmedia.com/session6. Everything I talk about here, so don't worry about that. But basically, it's so you can breathe, through my nose, through my mouth. I like to breathe for a couple minutes. Okay, it's really good for you to kind of meditate, breathe, and then what that does, it's like the fume. It's like the hot. I can't remember what it's called. Darn it. Oh well, it'll be in the show notes. Don't worry about it. But kind of like that Vicks vapor rub, that hot, not incense, but forget what it's called. But anyway, so I do that. Okay, then what I do is I usually just kind of take about 5 minutes to think, breathe, think, and pray. I like to pray. I'm trying to get a lot more focused when it comes to my relationship with God. I am a Christian. One of my big goals this year is to get a lot more, take that to the next level, build my relationship. So I'm trying to pray out loud every day, give myself more wisdom, strength. I pray for my son. I pray for my family, pray for my parents, all that stuff. I think it's really good to do. Get up, you're refreshed. A lot of people will go to the next step and they'll do a workout. I think it's great to do a workout, depending on, I sometimes do, like I said, 3 months from now when it's summer out, I might be doing a workout during that ritual. So, change it up if you have to. But right now I don't. Basically what I do next now is after I take a couple minutes to kind of get going, I might stretch for a few minutes. And then I go ahead and I go upstairs because I like to drink a cup of coffee, and I like to drink a cup of coffee while I work on my first task. So then I do my first 50-minute kind of focus session right after I kind of do my schedule. So I left one out there, but typically right after I do while I'm drinking my coffee, once in a while I will schedule out my day the night before. Okay, but a lot of times I'll do it right in the morning. Okay, I'll think about it. I'll kind of write a list out the night before. I'll give myself some time for my subconscious mind to sit on everything. Then that morning, I'll schedule out my morning. And it takes about 5 or 10 minutes. That's all it takes. Then I go into my first session and I work my first session, my most important task. Then after that, I take a 10-minute break and I make a smoothie. Basically my smoothie every day, what I make is I used to own a smoothie shop, so I know how to make some pretty good smoothies that are healthy and they taste really good. If you want, I can do a video on this one time and I'll give you the recipe, but I make a chocolate banana smoothie, chocolate banana almond butter smoothie, but it's also got almond milk, water. It's got almond milk, water, chocolate, protein, almond butter, and then it's also got a lot of spinach leaves, which you would be surprised, but you don't taste them at all, but it gets you those greens, and it's pretty healthy. So I have that while I'm working my next session, okay? And then I work my next hour, basically, and I've got my, 2-hour block of the most important items, and then I'll usually take about a, 15 or 20-minute break. Once in a while, I will actually go do my workout right after my first 2 sessions. Okay, and then I'll have a snack after that, or some other times I'll do another hour or 2, and then I'll go and I'll do my workout, and then I'll have lunch. So this stuff does not have to be the same every day, but what needs to be the same is that first morning. I really believe the first morning ritual needs to be, that's the most important thing that needs to be consistent. After a while, you'll really figure out what it is. But you'll start the day strong. When you have a healthy meal too in the morning, you actually have a tendency to want to eat healthier throughout the day. It's a subconscious thing, and it's true. Just try it. You'll get it. You know how it is. If you have a crappy meal, then all of a sudden you just kind of give up. Whatever, you just eat whatever. I'll eat healthy the next day. Well, when you start out fresh and you start out strong, start out drinking water, maybe with a workout, eating healthy, you have a tendency the rest of the day to be more motivated to be healthier, and so it really helps. And then if you're working in these 50-minute periods, you're having, if you can, try to have, kind of smaller meals, lots of water, you're going to have a lot more energy throughout the day, okay? Now, number 3, we're actually running out of time here. This is taking a little bit longer than I thought, darn it. Number 3, I'm going to go through email and phone quickly, okay? Basically, this is the fastest way to get distracted. If you start checking your emails in the morning, and I admit it, I still do it. Sometimes, if you do, that's how you get distracted, and it screws everything up. So you might as well give up. So the best way to handle this is just not even deal with email until literally around lunchtime. If you have to spend like 20 minutes to go through emails in the morning, do it. And then what you do is basically X out of that screen. They actually have software out there that won't let you log into like Facebook and email and stuff like that. But basically, you need to get that out of there. You need to take away that window and just not worry about your email. And then same with your phone. Everybody knows they cannot get a hold of me on my phone. They have to leave a message. And I always have my phone on silent, and I check it, after a couple hours once I start doing once I start doing my most important tasks. So once my most important tasks are done in the morning, then I can check my phone, okay? Or maybe if it's on a break real quick, depending on, kind of what's going on. So the email and the phone are huge. David Allen uses a 2-minute rule. If you're going through your emails, basically, if you can handle it in 2 minutes, once you're on your email, if you can handle it in 2 minutes, then go ahead and do it. But if it takes longer than that, then you need to batch it out. So basically, you need to put it in a different folder. So, and what I recommend with email nowadays is don't try to create a million different folders where you're actually trying to organize everything, because then you forget what you put something under, or what would this filed under, what would this would have been filed under. With the way you can search nowadays with all this software and these email programs, you can find anything. So basically, just kind of use your inbox, use maybe important emails, maybe something you have to get to later, kind of stuff that's not important. You can maybe have about 4 or 5 different folders to put stuff into. Okay, once you put that email into that inbox, then you can get it off your brain, you can relax, you can move on to the next thing. Okay, but you can always search for stuff in your email. It's very easy to do that nowadays. So that's kind of what I do. Everybody knows that like I said, they can't get a hold of me on my phone. It's just, that's how it is. That's how you have to get things done. So you have to start putting rules into place with your email. People, at first they might be used to you always emailing them within every half hour, but get to a point where you're only checking your emails 2 or 3 times a day. Some people only do it once a day. Some people don't even do it once a day. They have their VA do it, and they only check it once a week. So, but get to the point maybe where you're checking it 2 or 3 times a day, and people will get used to it. Trust me, they will. So just get over it and do it. That's important. So, now, I talked about the power of a nap. Okay, I don't have a whole lot of time to go into the physiological aspects of this, but if you want to read more on this, go to Amazon and buy The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek, and also the author of the new book, The 4-Hour Chef, which is all 3 New York Times bestsellers. And it's unbelievable, man. Basically, a long story short, when you're in that REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep, which is like the first 10 or 15 minutes after you fall asleep and the last 10 or 15 minutes before you wake up of each kind of sleep cycle, that's when you are getting your most effective sleep in your body, okay? And your body, the human body, typically goes through an hour and a half sleep cycle throughout the night, Okay, so if you sleep a 7.5 to 8 hour night, then you're going through 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 cycles. Okay, these hour-and-a-half cycles. And the most effective sleep for your body is that first 20 minutes and then the last 20 minutes of that cycle. Okay, so basically, if you sleep like an hour and 10 minutes, and that means what also happens is at the beginning of this cycle, when you're getting your most effective sleep, that's when you're kind of just barely asleep. You're kind of dreaming. Your eyes are moving around. That's also when you're getting the most effective sleep. So it's kind of weird because when you wake up and you kind of remember your dream, then you always are usually more awake. But if you wake up and you're really groggy, like you wake up right in the middle of deep sleep. So if you sleep like an hour and 10 minutes, you wake up in deep sleep cycle, you're going to be really tired the rest of the day. It's tough to get out of that. So basically, long story short is if you take a 20-minute or less nap and you stay in that REM sleep cycle period, it's the same effective sleep as an hour and a half of sleep. Okay? So if you want to take a nap, you basically need to take an hour and a half nap, or you need to take a 20-minute nap. One or the other, nothing in between. Some people will say up to 40 minutes, which, 30 minutes or so is probably okay, to be honest with you, but 20 minutes, we're talking massive studies. Tim Ferriss with stuff all over his body, connected to everywhere in his body, because he's obsessed about getting the most out of an individual day. So basically, this is huge, and this was huge. Once I really learned about this, go read that book, buy the audiobook, whatever it is, what's easiest for you. Once I learned about that, then I knew I could sleep 6 hours at night, and then you could have a 20-minute session nap at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and now you're getting the same effective sleep as 7.5 to 8 hours. And this is absolutely true. So let's say you sleep 4.5 hours. So I set my alarm. If you're going to sleep less than 8 hours, you need to try to wake up on those hour-and-a-half intervals. Okay, that's the key. So if I'm going to go to bed and I know I don't have that much time to sleep, I might literally go to bed at midnight, and I need to wake up about 4:30, 4:45. What happens is then I'll wake up right at the right time during that cycle, and then in that case, though, I only got 4.5 hours of sleep, so I'll need to get 2 naps that day, and to get that effective. If I get 1 nap, it's an effective hour and a half, so now I'm up to 6 hours. If I get another nap, maybe 3 hours later, now I'm up to an effective 7.5 hours of sleep. This is true, trust me. I tested it. On the days that I've gotten 4.5 hours of sleep, and I had the 2 real short naps, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, I was wide awake. Okay, this is unbelievable. So it's really cool, too, because if you know you only get 6 hours of sleep, but you can have a chance to take a nap that day, then you won't be stressed out knowing that you didn't have enough sleep that night. So pretty crazy. When I took that job and I was working for 6 months, I would work in the morning from 4:30 or 5 to 7, and then I'd go to work, and I would literally take a 10-minute nap, because usually I wouldn't even be able to get to do 20. I'd take a 10-minute nap at my lunch break, and then I'd go back to work. The afternoon, I wouldn't be tired, and then I'd do my normal things, my family, Kyler, and hang out with him, or I'd work at night sometimes. That's what I did, and that's how I was able to grow my business and actually finally tell them that I couldn't afford to work for them anymore. The nap thing for me was massive, huge. So there's a lot more to that. Go to that. So the other thing too is the last number 5 is, we're running out of time here. So is be creative with your learning times. Okay. I love to learn. If you want to grow your business, if you want to continue to get your own business, you need to continue to seek outside, advice and learning. And the best way to do it, if you're busy, is use podcasts like you're listening to now, use audiobooks, and do it when you're doing other stuff. When you're driving, when I'm driving, when I'm hanging out at the park with Kyler, when I'm at the toy store with him, sometimes we'll just go to the toy store for an hour and he'll just look around knowing he can't get anything, but just look at all the toys for like an hour and a half, and I'll just listen to an audiobook and just be totally relaxed. Mowing the lawn, all that stuff. There's some great audio, great podcasts you can listen to. I Love Marketing is a great one. Smart Passive Income by Pat Flynn. Freedom Ocean, which is James Schramko and Tim Reed. This Is Your Life by Michael Hyatt. These are all awesome podcasts. If you have an iPhone, you can listen to podcasts. They're free. Audiobooks. A lot of great ways. That's honestly the best way to do it. I mean, you still got to be able to learn stuff, but you got to be careful. Use that nighttime when you're not as effective. Okay. The morning time, use that to work on your business. You got the most important stuff. Or, if you're a night owl, you get the point. But basically use those times when you're not as effective and your body isn't as effective to learn. To learn and to do things, or network, or whatever it is, go on Facebook and do those types of things. That's the key. The key is to figuring out yourself, and you're not going to figure it out right away, But trust me, over time, you start testing this stuff. We got about 2 minutes to go here. So as far as tools, honestly, Evernote is one of the best things in the world. It's unbelievable for taking notes down, for filing stuff away, integrating your phone, your computer, everything. Literally, people do all their taxes and their receipts. They use Evernote. Evernote's a great tool. Other than that, use whatever calendar you're using. It works fine, but you don't need all those stuff. I've used every different PDA in the book. I used to try to get all these different organizers. I was so into it, and they never ever worked. Use a piece of paper, use a blank notepad on your computer, and just do it every day. And that's the key. Once I schedule out my day in the morning, it's like all of a sudden all this weight is lifted off me, and now I'm not so stressed because I know what I'm doing from 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 12 to 1, 2 to 3. If it gets screwed up a little bit, that's okay. I've still got my list right there. It's no big deal. It's just this huge stress is pulled out of the back of your head, and you will be able to get so much more done. It is unbelievable. Trust me, just start trying it out. And, if you're listening to this, go to the show notes, dominatewebmedia.com/session6. That's where the show notes are going to be for this. That's where the download is. Go to iTunes, search Internet Marketing Boardroom, subscribe, comment, and go to my website and comment. Please tell me what you're doing, what you've done, on how you can get things more done, how you're more organized. I'd love to hear what you've been able to do, if you've been able to use anything I talked about here. But more importantly, give me some of your feedback on what works for you and what you've tried and what hasn't worked, anything like that. So subscribe, comment, we love it, and we'll talk to you soon next week on Success Mashup Radio and the next episode of the Internet Marketing Boardroom.